Questions from plant anatomy. 1. Define the following. A. Quiescent center. B. Tyloses. C. Trichoblast. D. Calyptrogon. 2. Write short notes on a cran's anatomy. B. Reaction wood. C. Wall ingrowths and transfer cell. 3. Explain the structure and function of phelogen. What is right item? 4. Differentiate between cork cambium and vascular cambium. 5. Draw VS of a monocotyledonous leaf and TS of a dicotyledonous leaf. Questions from Reproductive Botany. 1. Mark questions. Question. Is it possible that an unfertilized apomictic embryo sac gives rise to a diploid embryo? Give a reason in support of your answer. Answer. Yes. An unfertilized apomictic embryo sac can give rise to a diploid embryo. If the megaspore develops into an embryo sac without meiotic division, it will give rise to a diploid embryo. Question. When a pollen grain is shed at the 3-celled stage, which 3 cells are found? Answer. The following 3 cells are found at the 3-celled stage. 1 vegetative cell and 2 male gametes. Question. Define self-incompatibility. How do self-incompatible plants pollinate? Answer. Self-incompatibility is a genetic mechanism in which the growth of the pollen tube in the pistil is inhibited, which prevents self-pollens from fertilizing the ovules. The self-incompatible plants pollinate by cross-pollination. Question. Does Apomixis require fertilization and pollination? Give reasons in support of your answer. Answer. No. Apomixis does not require pollination and fertilization. This is because Apomixis is a form of asexual reproduction in which the female reproductive apparatus is used. The embryos can develop directly from the nucellus or synergids. Question. List out the agents of pollination. Answer. The pollinating agents are involved in transferring pollen grains from the male to the female part of the flower. Animals, birds, insects, wind and other biotic and abiotic agents are all examples of pollinating agents. Question. What are the male and female reproductive parts of a flower? Answer. A flower plays a vital role in the reproduction process of a plant. Therefore, it is called the reproductive organ of plants. The male reproductive parts of the flower include the stamen, the filament, and the anther, which are collectively termed the androecium. The female reproductive parts of the flower include carpels, pistils, stigma, style, and an ovary, which are collectively termed the gynoecium. Question. What is cross-pollination? Answer. Cross-pollination is the complex type of pollination during which the pollen grains are transferred from the anther of one flower into the stigma of another flower. This type of pollination makes use of both biotic and abiotic agents like wind, water, insects, birds, animals, and other agents as pollinators. Question. What are the main layers of a flower? Answer. There are different types of flowers in a plant kingdom. A few among them vary in color, structure, shape, etc. However, all flowers have unique layers. The 4 main layers of a flower. 1. Calyx. 2. Corolla. 3. Androecium. 4. Gynoecium. Question. Define morphogenesis. Answer. Morphogenesis is defined as a biological process which controls the growth, development in size, shape, and structure and distribution of cells during the embryonic development of an organism. Question. State the role of endothecium. Answer. The endothecium protects the microsporangium and helps in the dehiscence of anther for the release of pollen grains. Short answer type questions. 2 and 4 mark questions. Question. How does a chasmogamous bisexual flower prevent self-pollination? Answer. A chasmogamous bisexual flower prevents self-pollination in the following ways. 1. Dichogamy. In this strategy, the release of pollens and the receptivity of stigma are not synchronized. 4. Example. In sunflower, the stigma becomes receptive long after the pollen release. 2. Hercogamy. In this, the male and female flowers are present at different locations. In this, the pollen of the flower cannot come in contact with the stigma of the same flower. For example, Hibiscus gloriosa. 3. Self-sterility. It is a mechanism in which the growth of the pollen tube in the pistil or the germination of pollen grains is inhibited. This prevents the fertilization of the ovules from the pollen of the same flower. For example, abolition. Question. Arrange them sequentially according to how they appear in the artificial hybridization program. 1. Rebagging. 2. Selection of parents. 3. Bagging. 4. Dusting the pollen on the stigma. 5. Emasculation. 6. Collection of pollen. Answer. A. Selection of parents. B. Emasculation. C. Bagging. D. Collection of pollen. E. Dusting of pollen on the stigma. F. Rebagging. Question. How do self-incompatibility restrict autogamy? How does pollination occur in such plants? Answer. Self-incompatibility restricts autogamy by a mechanism known as self-sterility. This is a genetic mechanism in which the germination of pollen grains or the pollen tube growth in the pistil is inhibited, which prevents the pollen from fertilizing the ovules. Such plants pollinate by the process of cross-pollination. Question. Explain the term polyembryony. How is it exploited commercially? Answer. When more than one embryo occurs in a seed, it is referred to as polyembryony. This can be seen in a few citrus fruits and mango varieties. Polyembryony plays a significant part in plant breeding and horticulture. These embryos give rise to virus-free plantlets and are healthy. Hybrid varieties of such plants and vegetables are being grown extensively. These varieties thus obtained are highly productive. Question. Is there any difference between Apomixis and Parthenocarpi? Explain the benefits of each. Answer. Yes. Parthenocarpi is different from Apomixis. In Parthenocarpi, the fruit is produced without the fertilization of the female gamete. It is used for the production of fruits without seeds such as banana and grapes for commercial purposes. Apomixis is the process in which the seeds are produced without fertilization, but the process occurs in the female reproductive tract of the plant. In this, the megaspore mother cell does not undergo meiosis. It is used for the commercial production of hybrid varieties and in the production of virus-free varieties. Question. Why is it that the generative cell of two-celled pollen divides in a pollen tube and not of three-celled pollen? Answer. The generative cell divides to form two male gametes. In three-celled pollen, the generative cell divides into two gametes. Therefore, no further division takes place in the pollen tube. However, in two-celled pollen, the generative cell moves down the pollen tube and divides to form two male gametes. Question. Explain the events which occur after the process of fertilization in plants. Answer. Fertilization is a vital process which takes place in all sexually reproducing organisms. In all flowering plants, fertilization occurs after pollination and germination. After the process of fertilization, the following events occur. 1. The ovary becomes the fruit. 2. The ovules become the seeds. 3. The other structures including the corolla, calyx, and other remaining parts of the androecium and genetium degenerate or fall off. Thank you. Bell subscribe us for more videos. Thumbs up light skin tone.